Yeah, $20.
Uh,
$20 used to be huge. It still is in certain places, but
yeah.
back then it would get me like a whole night. With that, we're back, baby. Let's
Well,
talk lore.
roll high and subscribe.
Roll high and subscribe.
So
Um,
with $20, those places where you can still get a lot with $20.
it's
Some of
hilarious.
those places are a little wild.
Some of them are a little wild.
So something I've wanted to talk to you, especially after Pandemonium, when we went to one of my characters' uh, backstory places in a world of Dungeons and Dragons and gods and myth that is real. How do you make those? There are pockets of places, pockets in the world that are just no one wants to go to, even more than like the place where there's a couple dragons over here, or there's some crazy ghosts that haunt this mountain. Like, what's that even crazier, wild place look like? And how do you get that feel? Because if you're a random farmer, you hear about all these stories and you know they're true. You're like, if I do go over there, I will see a dragon or this monstrosity that is a walking elemental roaming through the world. That's just normal. What's beyond that? What really makes that person think like, oh crap, there's this crazy cave or this crazy place that no one ever goes to? What does that look like?
So there's two things here where I think I found in your question. So it's one, how to make it crazy, like what does the crazy place look like, but
Right.
also how do you maintain, as we talk about the immersion, and what do you do to enhance? I would say enhance the area. So if you build this
hmm
crazy upside down world where you know, let's just
Well,
say like
like for us, if we went to any of the realms, any of the places that we're playing in, where we would think like, oh my God, this is
yeah,
insane. I want that like a little farmer in your world who all of that is normal, like not everyday occurrences, but is normalized to still have that feeling like, oh my God.
well, so I think let's just stick with that. Let's just okay.
Yeah.
You have the upside down world, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you go to a plane and everything's upside down. The there's like a floating. Let's just say it's the island, right? And everything's
hmm
upside down. Everything's inverted. So gravity's inverted. You have to create a mechanic for that. You'll have to,
Colors inverted.
colors inverted. People, when like the day, like they go to sleep in the morning, they wake up at night. Like I would say that the themes throughout the area should maintain. So like maybe Upside Down World's too hard right now to understand, but let's just say you're in the Underdark. So
Yeah.
like the Underdark, what when I was building my city in the Underdark, I said, okay, well, what are the surroundings like, and what's the materials and the sources of food and water and everything that they're going to be using, and it turns out that um, everything's scarce. So the people there are probably going to be a little bit more hostile, not as trustworthy, because what are the ramifications of that? And so I feel like if you were to just layer it as you build it and have that sort of cutthroat theme, where people are distrusting, there's not a lot of not a lot of gold, not a lot of minerals and whatnot. People are always stealing from each other. That sort of gives you a base. Then you want to
Okay.
build up the from the magic. I don't know if that
Yeah.
helps. Like,
Enhance
yeah,
on the natural, like say this part of the world once was a flourishing farming town or something. And so how would that like natural environment or that history of that place like be enhanced to this crazy wild extreme.
Like, how would you maintain the
Yeah, I think you keep that theme throughout it, but you're still trying to find something that a person like going into the Underdark and having a scarce environment with hostile creatures. That's that's a an adventure to the Underdark. That's
right,
still something that's known in the world,
right?
going beyond your known to the world.
Oh, so building something completely crazy,
Yeah.
like
Like like that thing that if you and I were to see, we would not be able to comprehend in any form or fashion because it is so far beyond like what we think is possible.
well, are we building a city? Or are we building like the palace of the gods? It would be like
Like
things that you don't.
it could be a cave or a forest, like a small grove of trees, but it's just absurd. What
So,
what what could ideas of what that could look like? Like you have the idea of the overgrown forest of like really crazy vines and plants that attack you, but that's still an idea that is a known quantity in a fantasy world. How
but
do you take that and make that even more scary, even more terrifying, even a place no one in the world would want to touch, so it still
well,
exists?
so you'd have to have mystery. Like, I would say in the details of describing the area, it's the vines are, um, you know, they attack you, but why? Like, in the details of like what are the vines doing? Are they protecting the thing, or are they just vines? Like, I don't know. I think your question is how does the role player sort of be shocked at going into a dark forest that the tavern owner just said, oh, there's a side quest, go in there. And then when
Yeah.
they get in there, yes, there are werewolves, there are evil things, there are travelers, and blah, blah, blah. But how do you maintain a level of shock? I think, like, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like maintaining a level of shock, or at least giving a level of shock, sort of might come in the form of like the story. Like the characters know they're in there to get something. They know it's going to be creepy. They know there's going to be living trees and stuff. But the shock and awe probably would come from an aha moment. Like, how do you build an aha moment into like the city of Trigard we just did? Well, um, I ask you, what was how like, let's use an example of a time that we played together that sort of melded with what you're, or sort of answered those aha moments, like the time traveling thing. Like, you guys are going into an area where you know that time is sensitive, so like the surrounding, you had to actually go into a dungeon, and one group was in the present and one was in the past, and you had to align things. It sort of
Yeah,
gives you a
like that.
theme of time travel. And then you actually, all you did, like, you actually went back in time, and that might have been like, yes, you defeated a time dragon, and then there's a portal open to do a
Mhm.
time heist. It was so cool because you had a theme of time and urgency, in the area. All you did was go into like a little mining town and spend 4 sessions there waiting for something to happen that you had to respond to and get back.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was a cool. So maybe taking that framework and saying, okay, well, the aha moment comes from layered themes, time, everything has to do with it. That's why I said the upside down world. It's like, you're walking on the bottom, and
Well,
you get up at night to go to work in the night. Everything is backwards. Like, maybe
well,
maybe the people there, like, they're
I think you wrapped around back to the upside down world that answered a lot of the question. So it seems like there's like everything you're doing is gonna you're trying to create that shock, that surprise, that new cool thing. And in Dungeons and Dragons, it's all everything, every next adventure you're doing is that cool, crazy,
Yeah,
unique thing. And it's what's making it different is for the upside down world, the inversion of what is normal. So
right,
like what is normal in that world,
right.
you flip everything over on that, and
Like,
that is the complete opposite in that space, and
like,
that creates that unknown.
so imagine this: you guys walk into this, you see everyone like gravity is. You feel weird, like all the blood is rushing to your head. Everyone has red
Mm.
faces. You know, you're still walking, but like gravity is, everything's opposite. And so imagine this: you got and like it's weird. Everyone feels weird. They get it. They had a flip. They're upside down. The blood is rushing to their head. Maybe the characters don't experience the full effect of the upside down world, so maybe they have to like roll to not fall into the air or whatever. But you can build mechanics there that layer that in. But imagine like you guys go into the tavern to like take your rest, and you see patrons at the bar that are they put cups up to their mouths and the beer flows back into the cup and they give it back to the bartender, and then everything else is like somewhat normal, you know. And like
But little things.
yeah, you go outside and you see like the farmer, he's out in the field, and all of a sudden he takes a piece of bread out of his mouth, and he like, tries to
Grinds it up.
grinds it up and puts it back into the earth, with like a, or the, yeah, I don't know, but like like little details.
Hmm.
I feel like the answer to your question about how do you make the an area or a new area or a realm or whatever it is, city, cave, um, how you make it crazy. Um, I think it's the attention to the details, really. Because as long as you maintain that, okay, this cave is going to be about reality changing. Well, okay, well, how do you maintain that? Okay, so you build a mechanic, and the mechanic is, people have to roll their constitution or their wisdom to see if they are maintaining their perception of reality. But all the while, you can now, as the dungeon master, you can change the reality in a certain way, and I would imagine it would be just in the details. So like, but also in immersion wise. So it's like,
Yeah.
you walk in and all of a sudden you're in a palace, but the place still smells like the cave, and someone fails their role, and now they have, the reality becomes like maybe something that they're afraid of, but it still maintains that smell of the cave. Maybe the smell you have a constant. Like, I don't know. Maybe that was a long-winded,
I know
horrible
it.
example, but
I think that was a
we're like
great thing
right
of like
there.
the random little, not random, but the little details that you can trickle in throughout that brings it all back to that theme or that feeling or that
Yeah.
expression, and it's how powerful you can make that, can make it
Yeah.
feel.
So
Okay.
I just had an idea. Imagine this. So if you were on a roller coaster going all the way down,
Hmm.
like always down, eventually that's going to feel normal, and you're going to be like, this isn't
Yeah.
crazy. So, um, before you get to the before you get to that special place, have a session or two of build up. I mean, when we were in the Underdark, one of the reasons why I think that Trigar was so cool, you guys eventually you left the Underdark, and you went to like a large, big ass city, which I did not know how to run, but I think it went pretty well. And
It was good.
I think everyone had like, well, this is a big city feel to it. But
Hmm.
like, what did we do beforehand? We were trying to get there. We were like, oh, this place is gonna be huge. There's a lot of safe. It's gonna be safe. We can sort of do whatever we want, rob people, to what interact. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of, but like when the lead up to it, it was like you're in a confined space. You're in a, so the aha moment of getting there and realizing
Yeah.
you're in a massive city was like relieving almost to everyone, even including the players. So
Yeah, it
maybe
was.
when you're in there, it's not just the details. It's also like have subtle build-ups you know,
Two moments.
to moments. You know,
Yeah. I like that.
um, I don't know. It's a good question. Like when you said to
Uh,
me, crazy and wild, I was thinking, okay, so he wants to know how to like Im- immerse the players in like a dark, wild, like wildlife essentially,
Yeah.
with details of descriptions. But you weren't talking about descriptions really. You were saying like I felt like something else.
Well, it's really the immersion of yourself in that space and having it really feel like something different, something new, something crazy, and you can do that with those details. I think it was,
I think the level of consistency, having a
yeah,
constant
yeah.
in the details, you know.
Well, and as when you start getting out there, having something to remind people of what is normal in the world versus what is crazy that they're seeing around you.
Yeah. Like what would happen if you were in that cave we were talking about, like the reality
Yeah.
cave where everything changes, but it's still you still smell you have that one sense.
Mm.
Imagine how scared the group would be and how wild and crazy it would be if they had the reality they did something and the reality changed and then the smell went away.
Or the smell changed,
Yes, it started smelling like a beast.
or they lose it. They
Yeah,
don't know how to get back to it. Oh,
you know,
wow.
that's
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot
Like
to play
the
there.
fear of getting lost. And yeah, there is. I like that. That's something I'm gonna have to work on and work with.
Yeah. It's like being in the middle of the ocean and you're having a blast and then all of a sudden you go underwater and you see a shark.
And then you come up and there's a massive storm above you.
Yeah. And then all of a
You look
sudden
back down and it's a tropical beach.
yeah, and you take a whiff of the air and it smells like a cave.
Yep. That I would that is a great moment of what I was hoping to find. Like that wild, that crazy. That's something that is different and is not just you're seeing different things. It's you know something is not right.
What a weird topic. I was just like I was prepared to talk about something completely different, but this is good. We're going to come back to
Yeah.
that one too
No.
because
I
how
think
you
it's
make
good.
things crazy and wild. I'd like to know what people think, obviously. So I want you guys to write it in the comments if you have any comments about what or how to make things
Uh,
wild. It's not just like a dangerous place, but like how do you make it feel wild and crazy?
mhm.
Um,
Feel different than what
right.
a normal Dungeons and Dragons fantasy would be.
Yeah. So it's more it's sort of like an experienced player's opinion is what we sort of want because right
Yeah.
now I feel like everything's sort of crazy and wild. But um, you know, uh, that'll do it, Chris. It was a good topic.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned and as we get ready to build the Sky Kingdom and see what crazy and wild we can throw in there.
Yeah, and roll high and subscribe.
And roll on, subscribe. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna set up. We'll take a short break before going and building the Sky Kingdom. I just have to upload my. There it is. My good old table. Gonna throw some dice around.
Oh, nice. Are you up in tabletop?
I'm opening it. Yeah,
Okay. Are we live?
we are always live.
Always live.
Um,
Roll high and subscribe.
yeah, roll high and
Rolls it
subscribe.
rolls it rolls off the tongue.
It does really.
Nicely done, Spencer.
Need a shirt. Need a shirt that says it.
Well, soon.
Yeah,
I've been holding off wearing this shirt
I can't
for
wait to do these
for
commercials.
weeks.
These guys have been so patient for us. It's insane, but we're gonna do them right, do them some justice.
Well, it's a great shirt. I am happy to wear it if I can remember what the password is.
Spence.
No, I got it. I'm good. No, I'm not.
All right, I got all my dice here, ready to go. Oh, you know what? Just in case, but we're gonna use the dice
I got
on the
I got
table.
dice from them. Oh, this is different people. Are they the same people?
Yeah,
Did they gave me these? these dice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. My janglies, these things.
Yes. I have mine here. Okay. Um, all right. Welcome back. Let's talk lore. Um, Chris, we'll wait and we'll do that again. I'll wait for you to be up in your thing. Remember your stag.
Oh, shit, I am stag.
Yeah, don't forget about that. Just kidding. But we'll now.
Okay.
I think you're in, right?
The load. Is it
Load up,
Spence?
baby.
I'm trying. Spence, all lowercase.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
All right. Beautiful.
The hardest
Welcome
thing to do.
back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Lore. Roll high and subscribe if you haven't. Hit that button. I'm Spencer. This is Chris. Opposite side this
Hello?
time. We are going to be building a kingdom. And let me switch over to our tabletop simulator. There it is. Chris, want to talk about the kingdom? Which kingdom are we building?
We're building the Sky Kingdom.
That's right.
We, in our game, Agoth Doomhand and the Skulls of Power, we have decided to chase a magical staircase that leads up to the Sky Kingdom. This
That's
Sky
right.
Kingdom is filled with Sky Dwarves and Loxodon, who are in a discussion about whether the world is round or flat.
Correct.
I mean, discussion, aka
Yeah,
fight, battle,
it's debate. Um,
and we know it's high in the clouds somewhere. We don't know how it's set up or how it's built.
right. And what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be building the city, the Sky Kingdom. Now, I would imagine that the Sky Kingdom is going to be made up of a bunch of different islands.
Like floating islands.
Right. So,
Well, question, how do you envision is it like a castle sitting on a cloud?
so my vision is it is a massive rock that
Okay.
it's just floating islands, no water,
Okay. Okay.
right? And yes, but the weather changes. So like the water, imagine the water are clouds. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out the mechanics for sailing there. The dark clouds are going to be things that you might need to watch out for.
Avoid.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but so yes, the mechanics of the city. We'll get into that later. Things are going to move around. Everything's going to be shifting, not tremendously, but
Yeah. That it needs to.
yeah.
That's what makes it cool.
Depending on the roll of the table, how cloudy is it, essentially.
Yeah. Or
Now,
like what direction the wind is coming. All the other buildings,
I want to make
islands
this
float.
as random as possible. So,
Okay.
how many islands do we have that make up this city? Now, the sky is going to be full of islands, but the Sky Kingdom is going to be a kingdom of condensed
Like
islands.
islands that are packed
Tethered to,
together.
maybe they're tethered together.
Yeah. With
You know,
and bridges connecting them.
yes, it could be magic, it could be anything. You know,
Just chains.
yeah,
Chains and rope.
yeah,
Physical tether. Come on.
yeah, yeah. So how many islands are there? So do you want
Well,
to?
so this is like the main city in the Sky Kingdom.
Yeah,
So
you got to
I
have it
would say
five
this
plus.
you'd have to have some that are Loxodon
Oh yeah, no, we'll get into the districts then.
cities and some that are that. So you're like at least two or three each.
Yeah, I would
So
say
at
that.
least five.
So at least five. I was gonna say five plus 1d10,
Say 1d6 or
1d6.
1d10.
Yeah, just to see, because
Yeah.
because you're gonna be. Imagine you're. So let's do. So it's five, and we'll roll this 1d10. And
I can't read that
we
number.
got a
Just like
six.
just like real dice. I can't read
Yeah,
that
you just
number.
hold the mouse
Yeah.
over it. It says so
Oh,
six. So
perfect.
we'll have 11
11 cities.
11 little
11.
islands or big islands. Now
I
we did
like
this
it.
the last time we built the city. We had like an you know
A list of like temples or
yeah. So
encounters.
castle, temples. But we don't have to be specific with these because we need the number. Like you're gonna have ports,
Right.
and then you're gonna have living. Number four, living conditions, or living
Well,
residential spaces.
we have 11 islands.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do a lot of rolling or a little rolling? Do you want to determine the size of each island?
Um, well, let's see what's on them, right?
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
feel like there will be two castle type things, right? They're definitely going to be at least two plus 1d4
Oh,
temples.
yeah.
There's going to be two plus 1d. I'm just making this up.
Right.
1d10 ports. You're going to have. I mean,
I think there's
each island has its own port, sort of,
right.
but like large trading ports.
Hmm.
And then living districts. You're going to have at least two plus maybe 1d4.
I would think you'd have one per island, so 11 plus per
But the islands aren't massive, so it's like you'll have a large island that
has
houses
a
a lot
larger
of yeah,
residential
or
area.
maybe you
Oh,
have a
okay.
couple islands tethered together that make that.
Okay.
So let's
I
roll.
see.
You roll now. What? How many castles are we having?
I'd say a D4,
Yeah. Okay.
D4 plus one. So a minimum two, because
Yeah.
you need at least one per side, one
So
dwarf castle.
let's roll that baby.
I'll get the D4. Three, so
Three.
four castles.
Four monarchy buildings.
Yeah.
And then you got temples, religious temples, or something else.
Um,
I would say D4 again, probably, because you're gonna have at least two.
yeah. So two plus D4.
Yeah,
Yeah. One. So
so
three.
three. Wow. So what's the third one? That's gonna be fun. Number of ports. So like trade, maybe
Of like large harbors
yeah, large harbors.
or
Yeah, harbors.
harbors. Yeah, because you got many docks where a single ship can come, but large trading ships or
Yeah,
place of industry or military. A D6 of those.
yeah.
Let's see. Maybe there's one massive
It could be.
harbor.
Oh, you almost had it.
No.
You almost
Oh,
had it.
four.
So four, and then living districts.
I'd say there's either a D8 or a D10.
Let's do a D10. Let's make it
You roll
weird.
that one.
Let's make it weird.
I've rolled a lot of the other ones.
All right, come on, baby. 0, 7.
7.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. So we have 4, 7, 14, 18. 18 areas. So like trying to figure out how to do this. So then you're gonna have that means that you have to have islands big enough to have both of these, which makes sense
Hmm.
because you got temples and stuff. So,
Yeah.
how did I do that here? Hide you. Oops. All right. So you're gonna have the castle. Let's just make this harder than it is, but um,
So how many castles total are we having?
so you're gonna have. I'll just do this quickly so we can do it. We're gonna
Right.
have one castle with a port. Um,
Well, I was thinking we could do the roll all the dice on the board and draw it out.
oh
See
shit.
what groups
Yep.
together.
Yep. That's perfect. Okay, love it.
So the
All right, so we have
D20s are
four.
the
Yeah, we
castles.
have four things. D20s are the
Okay.
castles.
Oh, I can't clone these.
Uh,
That's a D12.
yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So and then um,
So we need two more D20s.
so we have three temples.
Okay.
We have, let's make the D6s the living areas. So that's going to be seven. So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. And we're missing the ports, which will be,
D8
yeah, D8. Let me get rid of
or
these
four.
guys. Yeah, whatever those are.
That's a D. That's a
Yeah.
D8.
And then how many are there? There's four. So clone this guy. All right. This is probably, and we need two more of these guys.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the more enjoyable ways of that we've adopted from some weird. I don't know where I read that, but this guy I saw, thank God for Instagram, was create. He just had this idea, and he said you should just take your dice, label them as what type of building they are or what type of area they are in the city, and just throw them out randomly, and then see where everything sort of sits. So you
So
just pick them all.
I'm thinking, grab one, alternate. I grab one, throw it. You grab one, throw it. Let's see what comes out.
I'm just gonna okay.
Grab one and throw it on the board. Well, is that a
I don't
port?
know. I don't
Oh
know.
no, that's we'll see at the end.
I'm zoomed so far out. Um, all
All
right,
right,
all right.
now it's you. Oh, I'm gonna come from the other side. Let's see. Oh, almost didn't get it on the table.
Yeah, I'm gonna come down.
Oh, dead center. Look at that.
It's building out. It's coming quite nice. Let's see. Come on, baby. Living area. Come this way.
Ooh,
this is the
this
professional
random,
way to. Oh, I hit one.
this outlier over here.
It's a port.
Oh shoot, this didn't get on the board.
That's hilarious. All right, let's see what we got here. We'll move this guy in just a little bit so we can see him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we randomly rolled our buildings in our areas. So,
So we have 11 islands, right?
yes, we have 11 islands.
So can we draw 11 circles? Let's say one. Oh, let me make this bigger. Can't see anything. That's like one island, like two islands.
Maybe this one wraps.
Maybe.
One, two, three, four,
Oh, that's too
five,
big. That's too big. Let me
six. Oh
erase
no,
this
no, no, it's
one.
fine. You could have an island floating on top of an island. No.
Oh, it's on. Oh,
Yeah, well, they move
like
around.
that.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, these could be tethered together, and this could be
Yeah. So you got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine,
9.
and then maybe these two
Oh,
living.
this one. Yeah, this one up here is above, and this one, or these two are below.
Yeah, that's good.
And this one is one massive island.
All right, let's erase
Wait, erase all my
that line.
horrible stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we've done it. Okay, so now I'm going to change the castles a color so we can see them. This is going to be hilarious.
Oh, here's
Castle.
got a castle down here.
Nope, can't do it. I'm just going to have to highlight it.
Here. Yeah.
I'll put in
What color is a castle?
castle would be, I guess, red.
Okay. Castles
So
are red. I got a castle down here.
castle.
Oh, you
Where are
got
they?
two on one island?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I know. It's crazy.
Oh, castle right here.
Hey, that's that. Maybe that's the main one.
Yeah.
Now we'll do temples. Let's do those like
Temples were what? D6s
temples were. There's only three of them. No, sixes were the living quarters.
or the D 12s?
Yes. So here's a temple.
Yellow.
Here's a temple, and here's a
Oh,
temple.
there it is.
Wow. Um, ports are
Nice.
ports will be, I guess, green, and that is the uh, D8s. That sort of worked out. This port by itself, maybe it's a broken down port.
Oh, it's the
Um,
big one that needs all the space.
yeah, and then I guess we'll do orange for the last one. Let me just because I want to save this for
Oh,
my
the
reference.
residential areas.
Yeah, the residential areas. All right, so now we've built the city, um, and
We have made a smiley face.
we've made we've made a smiley face. So you got like how does this affect the way
Oh,
we're gonna do it?
we got one more.
Oh, residential area. So the residential areas. So these guys over here are gonna be very religious.
Yeah,
These guys over here are also gonna be, you know,
religious.
religious,
Well,
and there's a castle on there. So maybe this,
this is the Loxodon.
yeah, it's shaped like a tusk. The island, maybe the island's called Tusk. You know,
Could be.
I'll have to look up Dwarven and then
Or you
maybe
know what I think the two different colors of the that of our islands work well with the Loxodon and the dwarves.
oh nice, look at that.
So you
Yeah,
have the Loxodon here, they have two residential areas, they have this port over in the side, and they've connected through together. Like maybe there's like this long rope bridge or this path that connects
yeah,
those two islands together, and they connect to this other religious temple that's right nearby.
they
And then you
have,
have the
yeah.
yeah, like dwarves, they have different
So
clans, so you have multiple dwarf castles.
so the Loxodon are going to be sort of like outsiders, and here's world building for you. And
Yeah, I like that.
to go back to your previous let's talk lore thing, how do you have the aha moment? All right, well
Hmm.
you're already going to be aha crazy because you're in the sky, right?
Right.
You come across these floating islands. There's one massive one. There's a bunch. There seem to be tethered together. Maybe the Loxodons are tethered together with chains, and the other ones are tethered together with some sort of like either magic or wood bridges.
Yeah.
Maybe dwarfs would have built
R-
bridges. Yeah.
well, Dwarves would have built stone bridges
Yes, that's
firmly
yeah. So
connecting them.
firmly, yeah.
The Loxodons are rope bridges that move with the
Yes,
islands.
float. Yeah. And now
Oh, that's
here's
terrifying.
so the history of it, history of this place, real quick. I'm gonna build it for
Yeah.
Monday night. Um, the dwarves were on their own, and one day these three islands floated up next to them, and it turned out that they were Loxodon, also on floating islands. But the history is no one knows where they came from. Either side has the same sort of sense.
They sort of just came out of the clouds and saw
Yeah,
each other.
yeah, completely different religions. Obviously, the Loxodon are going to
Hmm.
believe that the Earth will roll for that either flat or round, and the dwarves are going to think they're flat or round too. Um, Opposite. So right now there's a debate, but the aha moment, and spoiler alert, the aha moment probably will come when and if a third like another island shows up with
Oh, I like that.
another sort of species
Someone
or
new.
yeah um
And
and
Spencer, we already know the Sky Dwarves believe the world is round from the Sky Dwarf
it's
we
true.
met in the Underdark with Mike Trison.
I give you some inspiration for that.
Thank you.
Wait, the dwarves are flat?
No, the dwarves were round.
Wow.
The Sky Dwarf was round.
trying to figure it out, trying to solve the riddles.
Mm.
So we're gonna circle back to the Sky Kingdom and building it probably later because there's so many mechanics with this thing. But
Yeah.
I like the way we built the map. It was a little long winded, but that's how I like to build the maps. Just throw it out, sort of try to know what's happening politically and like between just a normal citizen there. Like, what do they want? Are they miners? Are they, I feel like the Sky Kingdom is going to be actually more of a happier place. Um, because that's all they think they have. Maybe they trade with people down below, but I feel like a lot of them are going to feel safe. You're on your own island floating in the sky. You never have a bad day really, unless
Yeah.
you know. I,
You always get a nice sunset.
yeah. But like the mechanics of this is gonna be crazy. So it's like the islands are gonna move. Maybe some dates, some I have to read up on it, but I want because I like to introduce like somewhat real um, conditions and things. So like you're that high up, if you go any further, maybe some of the islands end up going a lot higher. Maybe some of the islands are higher. You know,
Yeah.
um, and if you go up there, there's levels of exhaustion because there's not as much oxygen. Maybe when you come back down, you feel a burst of energy. Maybe you actually because you've been practicing in the Alps for your marathon
You've been deprived for so long.
long. You come to New York to run your marathon, and all of a sudden you have all that oxygen.
Phew.
Yeah. So maybe there's some items like that we can
Yeah. Incorporate.
make and stuff
Absolutely.
to enhance the immersion. But um, yeah, that was cool.
I like it. Well, it also helped create the story of the city, which is I think the hardest part to do.
Oh yeah, I think that's perfect. I love this. Um, I just can't wait to now lore like how did they get there? Like who was first? They both think they're first. That's the thing. It's like, you have these debates, you have these cultures, and you have these temples and people think that the world's flat and the other group thinks that the world's round and they're on floating islands and they just like one day they just appeared in front of each other and
Well,
um
the question is you can't steer a floating island, can you?
I don't
Can
know.
you attempt to do they have sails on them that they try and steer it with?
I don't know. And what's attracting them? Is there gravity pulling them in towards each other? Um, and then
Mm.
like probably not, but uh, yeah, how do you steer it? And then, but what I was saying is they both think that they were there first, you know, so it
Yeah.
sort of adds on to that like debate. They're going to be stubborn as hell. Dwarves and Loxodon on debate. That's going to be very funny to role play. It's going to be you guys just sitting there watching me talk to.
For the past 100 years, they've all been saying, "All right, thanks, bye, I'll see you later,"
Yeah. What's
waiting
the
for the other ones to leave
one where it's like 20 years later?
later. Yeah.
It's the same thing. That's hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well,
Um,
I'm as a player excited to come explore this place.
oh yeah.
And I think with the ports are for skyships. So we would have to be able to get there with skyships, with
Oh
our
yeah.
skyship. But I was thinking of a mechanic of like, because there's the elevator or the staircase that goes up. That's the guarantee way to get up to the Sky Kingdom.
Yep.
But I was thinking, what would be a hazard that someone who's not used to going to the Sky Kingdom would know how to get through? And you already answered that with the storm clouds. That unless you get a like training to know how to read the storms, that you're just no, anytime you try and go through there, you're just gonna get soaked down, electrocuted, and
Oh
just
yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah,
Unless
imagine.
you'd like have that the license and know how to read it and navigate through,
Yeah, so
like
we
other ships and
we
captains.
can do another Let's Talk Lore episode on um, sky mechanics next time because I have a couple that I because the first one is the first episode or the first scene is just going to be sailing and
Mm,
mechanics because you have to have a crew and captains and
mm,
I've fine tuned our uh, the captain's going to have a plus on morale and the morale saves of the crew. I sort of lost track of that
I like
last time.
that. Yeah.
As there's going to be mutiny and you have to keep them happy and who's going to be doing it. And I feel like you as players are going to decide who's captain, who's going to be steering, who's going to be quartermaster, and all this other stuff. And then I'll reveal the pluses and minuses of the roles because if you're too stern with the crew and blah blah blah, but
Hmm.
there's and like how do you as a group navigate? So like you're just use the clouds and we'll move on. Um, there's going to be dark clouds and you're going to be
Hmm.
sailing. You guys aren't going to know it. They're just clouds.
Yeah.
But if you hit one, imagine like taking the full force of a storm and its electricity at once.
Yeah.
Maybe the cloud has you know, a 1d10 HP, and that sort of determines when it's going to start raining or not. And you just nail it. Like your ship's going to get damaged and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if it's a big storm? Ship stays put. Ship is stuck. Like
Hmm.
the movement of the ship slows down.
Well,
You know.
your ship gets wrecked by the
Yeah.
storm.
And then what's powering the ship? Well, you have to fill it up with mana from some sort of type of crystal. Where do you
Mm.
find those? You have to go mana fishing. Where do you go mana fishing? There are these other islands in the sky that have mana pool.
Or you go mana fishing in the storm clouds.
Yeah, you can do that
Or
too.
the mana fish,
Yeah, and you could
the
also
manta rays.
maybe they have mana. Maybe it's going to be hilarious, and they have mana gas stations. You know,
Ooh.
but that's how the
We have a
dwarves.
skyship. Now we have to get gas.
Easy pass. You know, and then
Oh,
maybe there are like policemen that they
the
give you
skyship
tickets.
cops.
They give you tickets for speeding and driving
That
in.
those smaller airships that we were looking at, those are the cop airships.
Pull over.
Put some lights on that.
Yeah, you go over to Stag. Have you been air shifting? Have you been drinking in air flying an airship?
Drinking and sailing.
Yeah.
Um, no, officer. I've been
Yeah.
drinking and observing from the bow.
Let me play this song for you.
Would you like to come downstairs?
Yeah.
I'll
Um
give you a full tour.
Peter Jackson, the guy that you guys fed to Sprock. Come downstairs. Are you
Helps
hungry?
Brock with
Yeah.
what he needs.
Help Sprock cook. He really needs a brain. That was
Oh
so
my
funny.
goodness.
This is going to be really good. Very cool
I,
map. Very cool map.
mhm.
Um, those of you who just joined, we just did a show on how to build the map using dice only, and it sort of worked out in our favor. But when it comes to storytelling, pretty cool. We will see you on Monday for our
Yeah.
Agoth Doomhand. I got to build this bad boy out, but this is gonna be sick.
I'm excited to see how you build this in tabletop.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be cool.
insane.